Hello again everybody, and welcome to another series of the Brommer's Blog video tutorials. This week we're going to take a quick look at the Autorouter and some of the features. So firstly, you may remember in one of the previous videos where we took a schematic and we had the basic digital circuit that you can see here. What we've now done is gone through the translate to PCB operation that you'll remember seeing in the other video, and ultimately we arrived at placing all the components inside the board. Within Design Spark there are obviously the included full Autorouter built in, but you also have the option to edit, fix your own tracks, do it all manually by hand if needs be, or perhaps in some cases in certain designs where specialist techniques, say for high speed or for sensitive signal paths, there needs to be some manual routing or fixed routing. This is also possible. So firstly, what we can see here is the board as it is, with the two ICs placed and a plug and then the key connector. What you can see down the right hand side here is a number of options for manually drawing. So what I'm going to do here just to start with is add a couple of tracks, and let's just zoom into here. So when I'm laying down a track here, what this will actually become is an actual physical connection on the PCB when we also move it into production. So we can see here this has gone red to the top layer. So if we just remember that connection that I've made here, this is what I'm calling a pre-route, and it's something that will automatically be fixed. The reason for that is that, as I mentioned before, because of certain designs you may not want the Autorouter just to automatically place every connection down for you. You may have some specific design considerations that tell you that you need to be following certain rules, which Design Spark PCB won't automatically do for you. So if I just zoom into here and we'll make another connection, we'll just put this to here. It doesn't actually go anywhere. Oops. There we go. And we finish that off. Now what we can see here is that this connection actually interferes here. So what we can do, that's very important as well in design, is to double click on this corner. Oops, sorry, we've done that slightly wrong there. Okay, we can double click here, and then we can automatically mitre by double clicking on the corner, the elbow. We can bring that out, select, and here we can see very quickly a mitered connection. Now one of the reasons you might want to do that as well is that generally, right angles in circuit design is not very good when it comes to things like noise and interference, etc. So by mitering the tracks, it is possible there to reduce that. So if we just take a look back there now, we have basically the ICs placed as mentioned. What we've done here is to decide to make a physical connections ourselves to pre-route them, if you like, or to call these as fixed. Although this is done automatically, we can also right click and fix item, right click and fix item. This means now that when we go to the Autorouter, these will remain here, these tracks, they will not move. So to get to the Autorouter, we go to Tools and Autoroute Nets. You can see the options here. We can auto-route all nets, browse nets, or browse net classes. What we mean by that is, obviously all nets, as it suggests, is the Autorouter will look to route every single net what's remaining. Looking at the nets, obviously the basic nets are, we have power, VCC, we've got ground, and then we've got the signal. So we can do the nets and the net classes. For today's example, we're going to look to do all nets at once now. Once we click this, we see here we have the option to keep what we like to say the pre-routes or the fixed routes. I've pre-routed these, I've also fixed them. So by doing that and clicking that, those two connections that I made here and here will stay. Although, as said earlier, these are done automatically whenever you place these connections down. Here we have the option to allow the Autorouter to mitre the tracks, as mentioned before, and within here now within Design Spark PCB version 2 we also have the option to do curved miters also, which again can be very useful when it comes to considerations in designs for noise, interference, etc. So we can leave that there, that is, for now. These settings really you don't need to touch. It's the way that how much effort the Autorouter will put into trying to find routes. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing to adjust this, because the more effort you give to Autorouter to do something can be more time consuming and really does not gain you anything in the ultimate design. So I would say generally for your first, most times just leave these settings as they are. Here we can see options for adding vias. Again, we see here by default it's set to as necessary, and side pad exit as never. Again, you can adjust these in the priority. Again, we can here now to view the routes. This just basically lets us see what's happening. So now with these settings, if we just go to route now, what we should see is the Autorouter making a number of passes, and here we see very quickly it's routed all nets in 8 passes, 29 attempted, completed, 0 failures, and a total of 41 vias. So now what we can see is that the Autorouter is very quickly, with those settings connected, all the rat's nest pins up, and you can see here where the mitering has occurred. If we just zoom into here, see the miters automatically been added. Okay, we can see, just moving along again, it's a mitering. Now if you remember, I put in the pre-route before here where we demonstrated doing manual mitering by double clicking on the elbow. There is that connection still that's been preserved, and if you remember just here, this connection that I put in, a straight connection across to here, it's been preserved also. So just to recap, what we've done today is that we've taken what was the digital schematic, we translated it to PCB, and then ultimately we've gone to do some pre-routes prior to the full auto route, where we highlighted this pin to connection here and to here, and then we've set up the Autorouter conditions to allow miters within the design, and also to make sure that we could keep those pre-routes and fixed routes. So as you can see, a very quick demonstration of how the Autorouter works in Design Spark PCB. I hope you found that of interest, and I look forward to seeing you on the next version of Brommer's Blogs tutorials. Thank you.